Well, hello dear viewers and welcome to Level Up Reviews. This is Wolf and today I review one of the most important games in role-playing games genre history, Wizardry 1, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. Let's jam! Wizardry is one of the oldest dungeon-crawling computer RPGs ever to be made. It is revered and very highly regarded by the role-playing game fans. The game even managed to outsell Ultima at first. But story of Wizardry is quite a lot different than that of Richard Garriott and Ultima games. I suppose I should start with Sirotech family. We shall start our story in 1967 at International and Universal Exposition in Montreal, Canada, where 11-year-old boy discovered magic of interactive movies. This inspired Robert Sirotech in getting a programming degree from Clarkson University. But, of course, childhood dreams got quickly replaced by pursuit of the career. He got a very good job at IP Sharp, but he was getting tired of the bureaucracy and was looking for new opportunities. And such opportunity indeed would appear very soon. His father, Fred, partnered up with Janice Woodhead. Their company at the time was doing a lot of shipments, and this was a problem for them. You see, this was during 1970s oil crisis, and freight rates kept changing very quickly. To fix this problem, they bought Apple II, and hired Robert to develop a program for them. But not Robert Sirotech. Another use with dreams of interactive worlds. Robert Woodhead, son of Janice. He was kicked out of Cornell University for low grades, but not before he had experience with one of the most advanced computers of its time, Plato, with first RPG games developed on it. This and his love for D&D made him want to develop his own game. But of course, computers were pretty expensive back then, so he started to work for his mother and Fred. In exchange, he would get to do whatever he wanted with the computer in his free time. So, he developed his own programs and games. But it was not enough for him to just see the programs for himself. He wanted to share them. Opportunity came in when New Jersey was holding Computer Exposé. Of course, company did not like the idea of Robert Woodhead taking Apple II to New Jersey on a bus. So Robert Sirotech's brother, Norman Sirotech, immediately volunteered to drive Woodhead and help him transport the computer. No, his intentions were not quite that pure. He was not that fascinated with video games. Well, let's just say he liked games of different kind. While he dropped off Robert in New Jersey, he himself went to Atlantic City to gamble. But as fate would have it, he lost everything very quickly, so bitter and angry he came back to check on Woodhead. And what he saw might have actually changed video game history. He was amazed the line he saw at Woodhead's computer. People were looking at his programs with amazement, especially demo of Wizardry, Dungeons of Despair. Norman, as a son of a businessman, immediately understood what he saw. He called up his brother and told him what was going on. This was the call Robert has been waiting for the longest time, so alongside with his brother and Robert Woodhead, he opened up now legendary Sirotech. Their father, of course, was very happy to see his sons follow in his footsteps and become businessmen, so he financed Sirotech when it first opened up. The first program they released was Infotree, and they followed up with their first game, Galactic Attack. And of course, they've been working on Wizardry. Of course, Robert Woodhead was not the only person developing this game. there would be another man involved in the development. Once Robert Woodhead met one of his college classmates, Andrew Greenberg. He mentioned in passing that he was working on a game, not thinking much of it. He wouldn't think Greenberg would be interested in such things, especially Greenberg has been somewhat of a foil for Woodhead's gaming dream. You see, Greenberg was in charge of making sure that students would not just idly play on the computers or develop games, but use the computers to study. So imagine shock of Robert Woodhead when he found out that Andrew Greenberg was actually working on an RPG game of his own. Interestingly enough, they decided to join forces. The way it worked, Woodhead would actually develop most of the game, Greenberg would make suggestions and work on smaller things, and Suratek brothers would work on business side and playtest the game. Originally, game was developed in BASIC, but it had trouble running on Apple II, so they converted the game to Pascal. This rose requirements for the PCs, which now was supposed to have 48 kilobytes of RAM, which Apple didn't have yet. Unfortunately, Apple II with the stats would not come out until 1979, so Suratek wound up having developed a game that was way too advanced to release. Finally, on September of 1981, Wizardry Proving Grounds of Mad Overlord was released. Dungeons of Despair was dropped. Apparently Gary Gygax's lawyers contacted Suratek, pointing out that name sounded similar to Dungeons and Dragons. I do not know about this. Apparently Gygax thought that he had ownership over everything dungeon related, but Robert Suratek said that Dungeons of Despair was only development title, and they were planning to change it anyway, so... The game really exceeded expectations, selling 200,000 copies in 3 years. Leaving its competitors in the dust, the game was highly popular in Japan, inspiring such games as Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. In 1984, Softline readers named this game most popular Apple program, and it remained on top of Computer Gaming World top adventure games list until Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar, dethroned it. The game itself is very interesting and ahead of its time. Unlike other dungeon crawling RPGs of its time like Temple of Apshai and Akalabes The World of Doom, you actually get to create a party of 6. There are 5 races: human, elves, dwarves, gnomes, and hobbits. Characters can be good, neutral, and evil, which is pretty cool since good characters cannot be in the party together with evil characters. There are 4 basic classes: a fighter, a mage, a priest, and a thief. And there is also 4 elite classes: a lord, which is a combination of fighter and priest; samurai, combination of fighter and mage; ninja, combination of fighter and thief; and bishop, combination of priest and mage. Stats to the character are assigned randomly. You do have some choice in customization. There is also a store that sells items, inn, temple that revives characters, and of course the dungeon. The story is very simple. Evil wizard Verdna, Andrew backwards, stole magic amulet from Trevor, Robert backwards, and aforementioned Mad Overlord, who sends adventurers to the dungeon to recover his amulet, declaring the dungeons as his proving grounds. Dungeon itself is pretty hard. There are 10 levels in total. Verdna is of course on final level. Paying close attention to where you're going is important. It is not that hard to get lost in this game, especially with the random encounters. The battle system is turn-based. You have 3 characters in front and 3 characters in back. You have to be careful. If all of the party members die, you can't revive them. They are lost. So this game demands from you to pay attention, be careful, as I said it before. Most impressive thing is the spell casting. There are 50-odd spells, divided in 2 magical schools, mage and priest spells. Strength of the spell depends on level of the spell. There are 7 levels in total. On floor 1, you get to know the game first. And as I said before, the game does not hold punches. You need to collect 2 keys on this floor. Most important floor is floor 4, where you need to get blue ribbon, which will give you access to the elevator to floors from 5 to 10, which is cool since you can skip a lot of floors, but you still need to level up and gain experience, because floor 10 is tough. To get to Verdna, you need to go through the teleporters, which are guarded by the high-level monsters. Finally, you face Wizard Verdna, which can be a tough fight. After killing him, you get Trevor's Amulet, which can cast different spells. It's a really powerful and cool item. After you're done with this, you need to teleport back up. This is pretty much the only way to get out of the dungeon. You get the congratulations screen and your reward. Wizardry 1 Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord is an amazing game for its time, and if you want to challenge yourself, I will recommend it to you. Even today, this game is a lot of fun. Surtech's team really put themselves on the map with this game. Wizardry 1 is indeed a fine gem, but of course, every gemstone needs refining. I also want to give special thanks to Matt Barton and Shane Stacks. Their book, Dungeons and Desktops, The History of Computer Role-Playing Games, have been a great help in my research. I would also check out Matt Barton's YouTube channel. He has great interviews with a lot of old-school video game makers. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.